There's the green light. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Whatever time you're here in. I'm going to go post the link on our website. The website is jollyrogerukulele.com. And from jollyrogerukulele.com, you will pick up the sheet music, get our daily schedule, discover a new way of playing ukulele, which is way more interesting than the way most of ukulele-dom works. I got the top secret thing. I got it from lute players 300 years ago, and voila, it works on ukulele, and you can play anything after you hang out with me for a little while, and you can play it at the highest level possible. So that's what we're doing here. This is lesson 21 of the foundations class, and it's all through the night. Today we will be talking about picking out individual notes inside of your strums. And well, as we do with everything, but this technique is particularly important in terms of getting more than just your thumb involved in stuff. And so we'll do some of that as well today, but also talk about how to be a little more strategic in approaching a song. What makes memorizing it easy versus more difficult, and how to just generally speaking make yourself a more effective musician. Alright, so I'm posted on the website, looks good. Let me go post on Twitter. jollyrogerukulele.com, and I'm going to go add in the picture of the little girl running down the street. Lesson 21. Alright, and we hit tweet. Alright, and that's posted. Then, I can close that out. Michelle is in Rockaway Beach. Sunshine up in Oregon today. That's very exciting. Michelle, good to see you. Here in Denver, we're sitting anxiously waiting on Friday night into Saturday into Sunday. We're supposed to get an epic snowstorm, and so we're all staring out the window going, well, is it happening yet? It's only Wednesday, so we got 2 days left before it hits, but apparently it's on its way. So Donna is in. She's local. After taking this class several times, I learned something new yesterday: the chunk strum. Nice, Donna. Yeah, there comes a point when you're like, I've had enough foundation, and you say the same thing every time. And of course, that's sort of the idea of foundations, right? If you take it once or twice or 3 times or 10 times, hopefully I keep saying the same thing, maybe a little bit different way each time, and eventually the light bulb's like, oh, that's what he meant. And then, of course, once you have heard... I think basically how you know you've been to foundations enough is that you're like, he said that last time. Once you're there, then I think that's enough foundations, and then you stop showing up here. Vic made it in, and she's got cloudy up there. I get more spam calls on this phone these days. Cloudy in Eugene and sunny in Rockaway Beach. I think Rockaway Beach is winning that, Val. Vic, it's you've been cloudy quite a bit, and the beach has been sunny. What the heck is going on up there in Oregon? Janice is in sodden, I believe. in American speak, that means she's just completely overwhelmed with water. She was walking around through, what do they call that? The peat. Walking through the peat, and it's all... When we were in Scotland, stopped to take a picture, and beautiful rolling hills, all this purple, I think it's called heather, up on the side of the hill. So I get out of the car and I go around and I start taking about 3 steps off the edge of the road, and my foot goes and just sinks into the peat. And so got a good photo, but I definitely had to pull myself back out there. Things Americans don't know about Scotland, like, 1, don't step off the edge of the road without thinking about it. Linda's in from Colorado Springs. It's windy down there. Oh my gosh, is it windy here? I don't think it's windy here. We had a bunch of clouds earlier, then the sun came out, now there's a bunch of clouds again. So Mindy's in. Montana's looking good. Hello, I'll be taking this class again. And guys, taking this class once or twice once is hard enough, right? Because you have to think about what you're doing. Well, by the way, while I'm busy giving you a sales pitch for what you've already gotten yourself involved in, let's go ahead and pull out All Through the Night, the ukulele version. I want to talk to you about. We're going to be talking about yet another technique that's important. But if you're taking any other ukulele class, here's what you're learning. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. That would be the more advanced part of that because there's no C chord in there, right? G chord, A chord, D chord. There is a C chord, D chord, G chord. That's a fairly typical lesson that you would be taking in most of the ukulele classes, and it's important. That's why they teach those classes, because those of you who like to sing, you got to get good at changing your chords. And if it's a particularly advanced level class, they might teach you about claw plucking. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. And I've never ever seen this, but I'm sure it's somebody's out there teaching how to pluck arpeggio patterns. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. That, for the last 18 years of me watching ukulele education go on, that's it. That's the list right there. I went through everything that the ukulele has to offer you. So when you get here, and we don't even hardly talk about that because we got all this other stuff to talk about, you got to know you wandered into a whole world of crazy here that you might want to go through the foundations class once or twice or 10 times, right? Until all of this stuff starts to make some sense to you and it starts to feel a little repetitive. But I have to teach you how to play melody on this. I have to teach you how to stop singing. I have to teach you how to take chords and to play them in all these crazy ways. Donna walked in today and she says, well, I learned something yesterday, that chunk strum, right? Sleep, my child, in peace, attend thee all through the night. Right? That's one of many right hand things we do. So we're spending all this time talking about right hand, and all the rest of the ukulele world is spending its time talking about your left hand. The left hand is a technical hand. It's going to determine what types of sounds come out of your instrument. Your right hand is where the artistry is. Your right hand is where the money is. Your right hand is what's going to separate you skill-wise from everybody else you know that likes playing ukulele. And please make sure you guys are really clear. That other way of playing ukulele is very important. It's very fun. It's very social. It's an activity that all of us want to be able to do. But it's not necessarily at the same level in terms of musicianship where we're headed with this. If you go and you talk to a piano player who likes to sing, they're going to know their chords. They're going to play a lot of chords. They're going to be really good at it. Their voice is going to go with. Alicia Keys is the perfect example. That girl knows how to play piano. Lady Gaga knows how to play piano. But when you're singing, you don't do all this other stuff. You're basically running the chords in some really cool fashion, and then your personality and your singing and your voice takes over, and it's a much easier road to go than an instrumentalist. And you'll notice Lady Gaga has a whole phalanx of musicians hanging around behind her. They have a lot harder job, to be perfectly honest. She is the one who's got to bring her personality to it. They are the ones who got to sell you the music, but the musicians in the background are these guys who are just like you, working their way through, trying to get better every day. And so just know that when you're here and you're like, man, this is really hard, it's supposed to be really hard. It's supposed to push you to a new limit, and there's no getting around it, right? We're learning how to read from tablature. We're learning how to play melody. We're learning how to play chords in lots of different ways. We're learning how to take those two ideas, smash them together, and do that. And in the next hour, yesterday we spent a crazy amount of time talking about how to take one song and strategize about where which notes were going to be more aggressive and which notes were going to be less aggressive, which notes were going to be more pretty, which ones were going to be less pretty. Yesterday we talked in this class about la cucaracha, trying to get those to be short, right? Every note's going to be short. And today we're going to talk about the opposite. Let's see how much we can get these notes to, how we can get them all to sound connected. And that's not a conversation that we typically have in the ukulele world. We talk about how do you make a C chord, how do you make a D chord, how do you make a G chord. How do you strum this song? We talk about that kind of stuff, but that's all, in my mind, a relatively easy pathway to go down. When I have singers who come in and they want to learn to play ukulele, what they really want to do is just learn to play rhythm. And usually singers, they need 2 or 3 lessons and then they're done, and off they go, and they've got their personality and their beautiful voice, and it always makes me sad that I don't have that voice. Not really, because I don't work on it, but with instrumentalists, guys, think about it. You sit down at a piano, you have 88 notes, the order you play them in. If you're not going to sing, you got to get that instrument to do it all for you, and it's hard. Okay? People dedicate their entire lives to doing exactly what you're doing, and you just happen to wander into not the advanced class, but right on the front page it says, I teach you guys how to play it the hard way. Every other instructional program in music wants you to believe that there's an easy way to music. There is no easy way to music. There is none. And so when they're selling you, hey, learn how to play guitar in 5 easy lessons, I don't people buy it. They really do. They move into that idea that that's going to happen because they're hopeful and they want it to be that way. But that's not how it works. What works is sitting down and practicing and continuing to show up and take the lessons and not know what you're doing most of the time. Every time I start a new thing, I feel like I'm a beginner again, and that's okay, right? That's what music is you got to work really, you got to have patience to enjoy the journey, because you're never getting to the destination. I think is probably the way to put that. So enjoy this journey. It is hard. It is good. It is worth it. You will end up with a way to play incredible music for the rest of your life. And every day you'll be like, is Gary going to give us a new piece of sheet music? All right, fine. He finally posted one. And you will get, some of you will be like, you know what, I don't have time to wait for Gary. I'm going to start learning how to write my own arrangements. And some of you will not. That's not for everybody, but a few of you will get there. And then some of you will be like, I'm tired of playing other people's music. I'm going to start writing my own music. And that's a whole different level, right? And so lots of levels that we go through in music. All of them are fun. All of them are interesting. Some of them are harder than others. And you guys happen to wander into one of the harder, not one of the hardest way to play ukulele, and it will ultimately be the most rewarding. So there we go. That's what I know. That's my little pep talk. Let's see. Donna says it was a light bulb moment. Oh, she's talking about the chunk strum yesterday. If we take a C chord, and most of you were here, but you take a C chord, you go down, and your palm slaps there, right? And then when you come back up, that's when the chord happens. Okay? And then you just go 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice, see how they run, see how they run. They all went after the farmer's wife. She cut off their tails with the carving knife. Never seen such a sight in your life as 3 blind mice. You'll notice when I'm doing a chunk strum, mostly you're hearing the chunk, right? And then when I come back up with my index finger, you're getting a little bit of chord. But mostly it's about the chunk. And so I'm glad, Donna, I'm glad that meant something to you. The coast always wins. It's always delightful. We've been to the Oregon coast a few times. I got to be honest, guys. The San Diego's coast is probably more enjoyable to spend time on, but Oregon's coast is awesome too. I've also been to the coast in Scotland, and Janice will tell you that it's not quite the same as a San Diego beach, or a Mazatlan beach. No, I haven't been to Mazatlan. We did go to Cancun once, not Cancun, Cozumel. And that was way back in the day. It was a bunch of a place back then. Let's see. Rob is in 72 and cloudy and windy here. Finally starting to warm up, Rob. Cloudy and windy. You guys got the same storm coming your way that we have here, so are gonna have here. So don't get used to that 72-degree mark, Rob. Nancy, sunny and 77. Did I say we have a perfect weather almost all the time here in Florida? Yeah, I know, right? Florida beaches. Here's what I know about Nancy's perfect weather. Have I told you guys a story? I've been to Florida one time. I was there for 8 days for the national speech tournament. I used to be a speech and debate coach back in the day for a high school. And one of my kids went to nationals, and I went with her, and we went down there. 8 days we were down there. For 8 days, it rained like I was in the shower. I mean, it did not stop. It was ungodly how much rain came out of the sky for 8 straight days. I just sat and judged speech tournaments because there was nothing to do. You couldn't go outside. And then as we were driving to the airport, I'm driving down the road, and there's Fort Lauderdale Beach right there. You could see it. This is, where the spring break movies happen. And you could see it through the fog and the rain, and you're like, that's where it was. That was my Fort Lauderdale experience. And then I got on the plane and came home. Yeah, that was so. Don't trust Nancy on this one. She will trick you. Janice is a cycle all across America, so experienced all the city. Yeah, right. I know. Janice is a huge bicyclist. Like when you talk about when I talk about getting on a bicycle, I think about riding to the grocery store and back. That's my idea of bicycling. Janice is like, I'm going to go around the world. I'm going to take this thing serious, and. Yeah, and of course, when you're on a bicycle and you're out there, of course, you get sun one minute and rain the next and all that. So, all right, all through the night, guys. Let's double check your chords, make sure you're comfy. We're on ukulele, but baritones, you're going to have the same shapes. G chord, D chord on baritone. Okay, A chord here, that's the E chord for you, baritones. Okay, D chord is right here, 1, 2, 3. It's an A chord on baritone. Okay, and then C chord. And that's your G chord, and then a D chord again, and then a G chord. Now, smart musicianship. I will tell you what you're going to find, and then we'll go find it. The first 4 measures are identical to the next 4 measures, and those are identical to the last 4 measures. So this song is set up in a format called A, B, A, and you will find that a lot of music that I give you guys, and a lot of music that's a little bit older style. That was a very common song structure for literally forever, for hundreds of years. A B A. You're gonna play the song. You're gonna play the main idea. You play the main idea again. Then you're gonna have a different idea, and then you're gonna play the main idea again. And it's very compact and works really well. A lot of Tin Pan Alley music is written that way, and so you only have to learn measures 1 through 4, and then you will also know how to play measures 5 through 8 and measures 13 through 16. So it repeats 3 times. So then what you know as a newer musician working on practicing skills, you don't practice the whole song. You just got to get really, really good at the first 4 measures, and that's 3/4 of the song. And then you got to go study the part that's different, measures 9 through 12. You go study that. So you get 16 measures of music, but you'll really only have to study 8 of those. Okay. Let's see. Q's in the house. Remember to punch the like button. Thanks, Q. Okay, so here are our chords. Baritone players, you do your shapes. Your shapes are G chord. Your A chord looks like our D chord. Your D chord looks like our G chord. Your C chord looks like our F chord. And that's it. Okay, so those are your shapes. Play along with me with chords. And again, this is what most ukulele programs teach. Get your chords in place. I will sing and you sing along with me. Okay, 1, 2, ready, play. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. 2, 3, again. Guardian angels, God will send thee all through the night. 2, 3, 4. Soft the drowsy hours are creeping, hill and vale in slumbers sleep Notice that fermata right there above the last note in measure 12. You see the eyeball looking at you? That's a fermata. That means hold that note longer than usual. Now put your G chord on and go. In my loving vigil keeping all through the night, 2, 3, 4. And then you would repeat it and repeat it again. So you sing through this song 3 times. Nobody does that, but you could. Big takeaways on the chord thing, which is what basic ukulele represents. I'm going to play this chord, this chord, this chord, this chord, and I'm going to strum, pluck, do something in a 4-beat pattern over here. If I decided to do an arpeggio pattern, thumb, index, middle, index, using strings 3, 2, and 1, sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. Isn't that pretty? Or you could take and strum it. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. You could do Donna's chunk stroke. Sleep, my child, sleep, sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. Okay, you could do that. You could do what I was doing first was the plucking. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. Now, when you're learning your chords, though, what's the biggest problem? Getting those chords on quickly enough. So you might be doing 1 strum per chord. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. Now you've got more of a better chance of getting your chords on. Just do 1 strum per chord when you're learning new chords. We've been in the key of G now all week, so that G chord's starting to get where it's a little better. Remember on day 1 or day 3, I think, is when we teach you the C. No, it's not even that. I think it's day 7 or something. C, F, and G, and you're like, oh, G is really hard. Well, hopefully now you're starting to get where it's going on there a little bit better. But 1 strum per chord is also another survival tactic that makes a lot of sense. And it sounds fine. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. Right? Or you don't. You're like, oh, I can't even keep up with that. Skip the chords that are in the middle of the measure. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. And it doesn't sound as good there, but you're trying to get comfy with finding a way to play that works for you. Now, those are your chords. Those are all standard issue, all American G chords, key of G chords. In the key of G, you're going to have a G, you're going to have A minor, and it's interesting, this song has an A major in it, and so that's a little bit of a variation, and that's what makes the song interesting, I think. You're also going to have G, A, B minor. We don't have any of those in this song. You're going to have C's, you have those, and you're going to have D's. Okay. The other one you might have is E minor. That's your 6 over here, and we don't have any E minors in this song. But in most music, probably in most music, you'll have the 1, the 4, the 5. Almost all music has that in there, and very often they'll toss in a 6 minor because it works. It always sounds great. Now, let's talk about the melody. Always, before you grab the melody, you peek through there and you're like, all right, looks like the first 4 measures are 2s and 3s, there's a 0 every now and then, so that means Gary promised me the next 4 measures were the same, and they are. And then looks like at measure 9 is where things change. That's where you're going to go up to 5 and 7. When you see a 7, you know you want to play that in 5th position. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. That any 1s you play with this one, any 2s here, any 3s here, any 4s here. Now when I see a 7, I slide up to 5th position, almost always. It's possible I might slide to 4th, but usually 5th position. Now I have 5, 6, 7, and 8 covered, and that's going to be real handy down the road. What you don't want to be doing is reaching your pinky all the way down the fretboard, because that's going to slow you down and you're going to be very inaccurate. Sometimes I do it. You'll see me doing it, and every time I end up finding myself doing that, I'm like, oh God, please hit the right fret. But it's better, move your whole hand up and play the 5s and the 7s. And then slide back down. Okay. And then the last of the song is back to 2s and 3s, which you'll play in first position. So let's play the melody. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 0, 3, 0, 3, 2, 2, 0, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 0, 3, 0, 3, 2, 2, 0, 2, 2, 3. Okay. 3, 2, 3. Slide up. 5, 7, 5, 3, 2, 3, 2, 0, 3, 2, 0, 3, 2, 3, 2, 0, 3, 0, 3, 2, 2, 0, 2, 2, 3. Okay, and I got in a hurry and I ignored the fermata at the end of measure 12, and so I'm making myself a note now. Oh, Gary, you should have played that fermata and given them a chance to practice a fermata. All right, so when we come back around and we do the tough uke, we will do that. All right, so now the new technique. And it's not really a new technique, it's a modification of techniques you've already been working on. Grab your G chord, okay, and then your tough uke says 2, 3. Well, you're already holding them down, right? So pluck the middle 2 strings, just index and middle. Thumb and index. Next one says 2, 2, so just drag your ring finger back, and now you're holding 2, 2 down over here, pluck the middle 2. Next one says 0, 0, so now pluck the opens. Then put your G chord right back where it was, and now you've got 2, 3 back on. Okay, A chord, go grab your A chord, but you're going to play the bottom 3 strings. Again, use thumb, index, and middle to play 1, 0, 0, and you just double check you got your A chord on. Now you have a 3, so you're going to have to add that. I use my pinky to get that 3. You could theoretically use your ring finger. Either of those would be acceptable. I'm a big pinky guy, so I'm going to have my pinky on the 3, and I'm already holding the 1 down, so that's all I'm doing. And now I'm continuing to pick right in the middle of my strings. And then I got to get to 2, 2, so I'm going to put my D chord on. And then the 2 by itself with your thumb. Okay, C chord, 0, 0, plucking the centers. And then 2, 2, that's a D chord, so put your D chord on, 2, 2. Hit it again, and then a G chord. Okay, and then that's 4 beats. Remember, a big round circle is 4 beats, so you don't want to rush that. When we read tablature, one of the downfalls of tablature, you can't tell how long notes are, and because of that, as tablature players, very often when we get to a long note, like in measure 4, bum, and then you'll come back in for the next note too early because you're not counting. When you see a big long note like that, you need to go all through the night, 2, 3, 4, so count in your head, maybe rock your body a tiny bit. Don't tap your foot. That's what we teach elementary school kids. But when you get to a long note, 2, 3, 4. I actually counted in my head on those long notes. Okay, measures 5 and through 8 are the same. Let's go. Ready, play. Ring finger back. Opens, G chord, A chord, 3 strings, add your pinky to get the 1 and 3, D chord to 2, 2, 2 by itself, zeros, 2, 2, again, G chord. Okay, 4 beats. Now look what happens here. You got 0, 0, 0, 3. So now we're going to mix it up. Okay, we could take all 4 fingers and pluck them all. Okay, I didn't slide up. That would work, but because we're trying to think about music as or this song at least, A, B, A. Not only is the B section different than the first 2 A sections, but let's actually approach it with a different technique. In this case, let's do thumb down, and look, you're going to hit all 4 strings anyway for almost every note here. So let's just strum down here. Hit the 5, hit the 7, back to 5. So 0, 2, 3, put it on. And then just let up your index and middle fingers, or index and ring finger. Leave your middle finger because it's already on the 2. Lose it to middle finger, G chord, and then a D chord. And that's where your fermata is. And then go back to the original plucking technique at measure 13. Grab your G chord. Okay, one more time. Play the whole thing through. And baritone players, you're going to have exactly the same program. So let's get it done on ukulele first, and then we'll go grab the baritones. 1, 2. Baritones probably grab the chords on this case. 1, 2, ready, play. 4. And then go. Okay, now your big takeaway here is that I'm using my claw on some parts of it. I'm using my thumb on other parts of it. Gary told me what to do here, but I can be as creative or as uncreative about that as I want to be. The takeaway, though, is let's try, when we have a section change, when we have an idea change in the music, to have our ukulele playing reflect that change. And that's why, after watching 18 years of YouTube videos, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, high. Okay, I've seen that video 100,000 times, right? Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. If I saw that video, I've seen it twice, maybe, right? So all of a sudden, same exact thing. I'm just doing a different right hand thing. Let's do Donna's idea. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. Now I got another way, right? I've seen that video once or twice. Where's the difference? Nothing changed over here. Everything changes over here. And the more choices and the more adventurous and the more things you learn about controlling your right hand, the more opportunity you have to make great music. Not necessarily great music, but different music. And different music will lead to great music. We only need so many versions of Over the Rainbow, and then we realize that, well, that's pretty much it. And to come up with something new and to come up with a different strategy, it requires you to be in control of your right hand more. And so what we're working on here is that. The other thing we're working on here is making sure you know when you are practicing, the least effective way that you can practice is to play the song twice and then turn the page. And that's what I did forever when I was playing piano. What I really needed to do was go find the sections that are really challenging, work on just that moment, and then get pieces and parts of this put together. You only have to practice 1 through 4 and 9 through 12 on this, and then bring it to class, and then you're like, okay, it's Friday, I'm ready to rock it out. And you have come up with your way of playing this song, for better or for worse, right? All right, so that's the big takeaway today. We're going to be using a claw in 1 through 9, thumb 9 through 12, back to claw 13 through 16, trying to get your right hand to be smarter and to think more interesting thoughts. Okay, I want to switch to baritone, do the same thing. We're going to play baritone version. Ukulele players, your chords change, or your chord shapes change. So let's go grab the baritone version and give you a chance to accompany me on this all through the night. Baritone version. Ukulele players, you are playing harder chords on this one. Okay, so sometimes your chords work out and sometimes they don't. Your D chord is 1, 2, 3. Okay, your E chord is on 4, bar on 4, pinky on 7. Okay, that's your E chord. Your A chord is back here where it was in the previous song. Okay, and your G chord, you already have been working on that a ton. Now, if it were me, I would do this all with all bar chords, but I don't really want you to do that. This song isn't that important. But you could play this song entirely with bar chords, with the D bar chord, bar 2, pinky on 3, or pinky on 5. Your E bar chord is slid up here onto 4. Your A bar chord is an F shape with a bar 4. Your G chord is a F shape with bar 3. And so if anytime I see an E chord, I'm like, oh, I'm going to play this whole thing with bars. It'll sound a little bit more cohesive. But you don't really need to do that just in this exercise. You should know this is the very first song I ever had memorized on ukulele. And it's because it's in little pieces, right? And so now, baritone players, you're grabbing your D chord, your E chord, your A chord, and your G chord. Okay, those are your 4 chords. Let's go through the chords real quick. Let's just sing it once on baritone, then we'll go through and play the tough uke. 1, 2, ready, play. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. 2, 3, 4. Guardian angels, God will send thee all through the night. 2, 3, 4. Sleep, lean now, oh, soft, the drowsy hours are creeping, hill and vale in slumber sleeping. Page 2, turn the page. In my loving vigil keeping all through the night. Okay, and so then let that ring. So that's how your chords are. The question always comes up, well, I'm playing ukulele, you're playing baritone. Do I really need to know these chords? No, there's no chords in foundations. And there's no chords. There are none that you're not going to use further on down the road. I've been pretty strategic about making sure that every single piece of paper in the foundations level is stuff you need to know. And so so you got 30 lessons in foundation, and honestly, I've taken out every single thing that just is sort of seems cute and fun and interesting, just sort of trivia, and really focused in on stuff that really is really going to come up in your ukulele life down the road. So I feel like it's a pretty solid program. And if I say, all right, this chord, ukulele players, you got your D chord and your E chord, your A chord, and your G chord, that's going to come up. It is something you need to know. And sometimes it requires you pulling out the chord chart and figuring out, okay, Gary, I forgot what he said to do here. Double check the chord chart versus the chords you're going to need to know. You don't need to know every chord that exists, but you do need to know the ones in the songs, right? All right, let's do the tough uke. Ukulele players, give me the chords. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. Guardian angels, God will send thee all through the night. Soft, the drowsy hours are creeping, hill slumber sleeping in my loving vigil, keeping all through the night. And then repeat. And I put a fancier ending on the baritone one. It'll eventually end up over on the ukulele one. The second time, or well, really, it'll be the third time you come through. You play that part twice. The third time you come through, you skip 16, you play 17. All through the night. Bar on 7, pinky on 10. Okay. So. Eventually those two pieces of paper will match exactly note for note. But what you have here is a really pleasant little lullaby with a lot of advanced skills in it where you can kind of decide what you want to do. Perfectly fine if you like singing. Sleep, my child, in peace, let gently all through the night. Okay. Probably not how you do that, but there is a Sheryl Crow version of this song out there. If you are a Sheryl Crow, if you know who I'm talking about, she's got a beautiful version of this. And let me play a little bit higher speed version of this so you get a sense of what this ultimately should sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where you head for, right? You don't have to play it that fast. You get it that fast by playing it and learning how to play it super slow, and give yourself permission to play slow. That's one thing new players have a tendency to not do. You're always trying to rush, and I'd much rather have you play it well at half speed than poorly at full speed. And so be brave. Be brave at being slow. All right, so we're getting close. Okay, we're getting close. Tomorrow we are on Home on the Range. I'd go ahead and pull that piece of sheet music out tonight and just look it over. A couple of moments in it that are rather challenging, but for the most part, it's an absolutely beautiful arrangement. And then look what we got going for Friday. We're going to do your Make It Better bar worksheet. It's continuing to build the strength in your bar. Then we have Amazing Grace, Happy Birthday, La Cucaracha, All Through the Night, and Home on the Range. That's a pretty legitimate concert that we have setting up for Friday. So spend a little bit of time getting your sheet music together, looking through it, finding those places where you struggle. Tomorrow's the day to talk about that, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do here, or this is too hard, or blah, blah, blah. And we talk about a little bit. We are in that process of getting your body up and running. Knowing what you're supposed to do is more important than being able to do it. And so hopefully I've been reasonably clear about what you should try to be doing. And then as you are struggling with that, that's normal. That's what you're supposed to do. If you can just sit down and do it, then I will feel like I got cheated, because I've had to struggle through all this stuff too. And on hundreds, well, probably thousands of ukulele players at this point have all struggled through this as well. This leads to good places. This leads to really a lifelong interest in this instrument and being able to play at a very high level in a way that's a little different than ukulele is typically done. I wouldn't say in a way that is way different than ukulele is typically done. Not the way that it's typically done is wrong, but this is this is the next level, right? This is where you're trying to take your instrument and turn it into an instrument rather than an accompaniment to your singing. So that's it. Questions, comments, concerns? Otherwise, we'll pull the plug. You guys have a little bit of time. I'll see some of you in the next hour. And Michelle's point is not unimportant. It's the journey that you got to enjoy. In music, if you're not enjoying the journey, you're misunderstanding what you're up to. The destination, it never shows up. There are times, Friday we have a concert. That's a destination. But it's definitely not the destination. And so we have concerts, so we have this moment in time where we mark our progress and find out exactly where we are. But basically, it's all this long journey. Hoping to get better than we were last week, right? That's our goal. So, all right, guys. Thanks, Michelle, for being here. Q, Janice, thanks, Rob. Rob was suspiciously quiet today. He's probably down there jamming out. Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee. Who else wandered in today? Let's see. Donna was here. Vic, good to see you. Janice, Mindy, Linda. Who else am I missing? I think that's everybody. Yeah, and by the way, that's a beautiful song, guys, right? It's a really nice song. So, all right, off I go. Have a wonderful day. I'm pulling the plug. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop streaming.